Imagine a world where death isn't guaranteed. Sounds like science fiction, right? But in nature, some creatures have found ways to escape aging altogether. While most animals, including us humans, eventually grow old and die, there are a few extraordinary species that seem to break the rules of biology. From tiny ocean drifters to familiar creatures living right under our noses, these animals may hold the secrets to immortality. Today, we're exploring 3 incredible examples of animals that can live forever. Or at least a very, very long time. Let's dive in. Our first stop takes us deep into the ocean, where one of the strangest life forms on Earth drifts through the water, the immortal jellyfish, scientifically known as Turritopsis donii. At first glance, it looks small and unimpressive, barely the size of a human fingernail. But this creature has a superpower unlike any other: it can literally reverse its own aging. Here's how it works. Most animals are born, grow old, and eventually die. But when the immortal jellyfish is injured, stressed, or near the end of its life cycle, it performs a biological trick. Instead of dying, it transforms its adult cells back into their earliest, youthful state. In other words, it reverts from being an adult jellyfish all the way back into a baby polyp. From there, it grows up again, repeating the cycle. Theoretically, this process can go on forever. As long as it avoids predators or disease, this tiny jellyfish is biologically immortal. It cheats death by pressing the reset button on its own life. Next, let's zoom in from the vast ocean to something so small you'd need a microscope to see it: the Hydra. Hydras are tiny freshwater creatures, closely related to jellyfish and corals. What makes them special is their incredible ability to constantly regenerate. Their bodies are made up mostly of stem cells, the kind of cells that can turn into any other type of cell. This means that when a hydra loses part of its body, it simply grows it back. But here's the real kicker: hydras don't appear to age at all. Scientists have observed that, given the right environment, a hydra could theoretically live forever. It doesn't show the typical signs of aging: no slowing down, no decline in reproduction, no buildup of damage in its cells. In fact, in controlled lab studies, some hydras have been kept alive for decades with no signs of mortality. The only real way they die in nature is through predators, disease, or accidents. Biologically, they are ageless, a living example of what scientists call negligible senescence, which means they just don't seem to age like we do. Now let's move from tiny creatures to something a lot more familiar: lobsters. At first glance, lobsters might not seem like candidates for immortality. After all, they live in tough environments, and many end up on dinner plates. But biologically, lobsters are fascinating because they don't age in the way most animals do. Most species show clear signs of aging: they get weaker, reproduce less, and their cells stop repairing themselves efficiently. Lobsters, on the other hand, continue to grow, reproduce, and repair tissue throughout their entire lives. This is thanks to an enzyme called telomerase. In humans and most animals, telomerase slows down as we age, causing our cells to eventually break down. But in lobsters, this enzyme stays active for life, constantly repairing their DNA and allowing their cells to function as if they were young. This means that, theoretically, lobsters could live indefinitely. In fact, some wild lobsters have been estimated to be more than 100 years old, still strong, still fertile, and still growing. Of course, they're not invincible. In the wild, they face predators, disease, and the simple difficulty of molting their shells as they grow larger. But biologically speaking, lobsters seem to have found a way to avoid the normal process of aging altogether. So what do we make of all this? We've looked at three incredible creatures that seem to bend, or even break, the very rules of life itself. The immortal jellyfish, with its ability to reset its own life cycle. The tiny Hydra, ageless and constantly renewing its body. And the lobster, quietly living for over a century while keeping its cells young through the power of telomerase. Together, they show us that nature is far stranger than we often realize. While most living things are locked into the cycle of birth, aging, and death, these animals remind us that biology doesn't always play by the same rules. In fact, they might hold the clues to understanding one of the biggest mysteries in science: how to slow down, or maybe even stop, aging itself. Think about it, for humans, aging feels inevitable. Our bodies get weaker, our cells accumulate damage, and eventually, we reach a point where our systems shut down. But what if studying creatures like jellyfish, hydras, and lobsters could change that? What if the key to human longevity, or even immortality, is already out there in nature, hiding in plain sight? Scientists are already looking into these questions. Research on the immortal jellyfish has opened doors into cellular reprogramming, which could one day help regenerate damaged human tissues. Hydra studies are giving us insights into stem cells and how to keep them active for longer. And the lobster's telomerase might inspire treatments to slow cellular aging in humans. Of course, immortality is still far away for us. But every discovery brings us closer to understanding how to extend not just our lifespan, but our health span, the number of years we can live strong, active, and healthy. So now, the question is, would you want it? If scientists found a way for humans to live hundreds of years, maybe even forever, would you take that chance? Or do you think death is a natural part of life that should never be removed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and I'm always curious to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed exploring the strangest, most unbelievable facts about the animal kingdom, make sure to give this video a like, it really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the weird and wonderful world of nature. Because this was just the beginning. There are countless more secrets waiting in the oceans, the forests, and even in your own backyard. Creatures that defy expectations, rewrite the rules of biology, and leave us with one big reminder: nature is the greatest science fiction writer of all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.